Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. We are Brigade of Beans, a diagnosed dissociative identity disorder system. My name is North and today I wanted to show off our fidget collection. So before we get into the actual video, which I promise I will right away because there's a lot of fidgets to get through, I do want to say that one, I couldn't find all of them. Some of them are missing. I'm assuming other people have put them places and I don't know where those places are. And secondly, anyone can use fidgets and sensory tools. However, we are autistic, so we do use these to help regulate ourselves quite a bit. We also have ADHD and are constantly fidgeting anyway. So we are pretty much always using some form of fidgeting or some form of stimming. So our fidget tools do get a lot of use. So if I mention wear and tear, don't just assume that meant that it broke on the first go. It just means that we use it a lot, and because you use them a lot, sometimes they do break, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that's all of the disclaimers. I have broken this video down into categories of different types of fidgets, or at least how we classify different types of fidgets. I don't remember the names or where we got them, so I'm hoping that whoever does editing can put that on the screen as I review them. And let's get into it. The first category of fidget that I'm going to go through is all of our metal and magnetic fidgets. These are quite expensive, but they're really cool, so let's show those off. The first one that I have for you is 3 magnets. They come apart like this. The inside also rolls so that you can roll it around your finger or roll them around your finger like this. They also connect on the sides and you can put your fingers through them and use them like this. I quite like this one. It is kind of simple, but I still think it's fun. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. This is our other set of magnets. It is just the 2 of them. They connect and make quite a fun sound. You can also flick them around like this. And then sorry, there are also younger children around with me who get very excited about these things. But yes, these are also quite simple, but I really enjoy that sound. So I'm gonna give these 7.5 out of 10. The next 2 are almost identical. We have this one here. It is just a set of chains that go around and around. And then the second one, as you can see, the only difference is it has the elastic, which means it stays together as you make it go around in your hand. I much prefer this one. I think I'm going to give this one another 7, and I'm going to give this one 5 because it not having the elastic really annoys me. Another 2 for 1 are these, I think they're called acupuncture rings. The only difference is they're slightly different quality. This one is a much higher quality. You can feel it in just the way that it feels. This one also has a habit of coming undone at the joint and you have to roll it back together. This one also feels spikier. I don't know how I feel about these. I have someone else in my head saying that they absolutely hate them and to give them a negative 10 out of 10. I don't mind them, but I also wouldn't seek them out, so I'm going to give them a 3 out of 10. This next fidget is a tiny little spinner that just goes around. It makes a really satisfying sound. And it's also quite small, so it's easy to carry around in a pocket, although because it's quite small, it's easy to get lost. But I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. This one is another sort of spinner. It's not really designed as a spinner, it's just a ball that goes around in a chain link. It's okay. Like, we do use it. It is a good fidget, but it's not like the best in the world. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. The next one is another link of chains, and although this might look quite boring on the surface, this is actually really, really fun. This is one of Atlas's favorite ones. You can make it do different shapes. You can make it do a little boogie. You can also just have it around your fingers and roll it around. Atlas does this a lot when he's reading. The cat just opened the door. Are you going to come in? No? Come here. Here he is. He opened the door. He's not super cuddly, but this is s'more. 10 out of 10. And then we have Brandy. Oh, who's a little bit fat, but she's still cute. And she also gets 10 out of 10 because we love her very much. Now, I think I was talking about this one. I don't love it, but Atlas says that he'd give it a 10 out of 10. So for him, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Now, I think these are called caterpillars. I'm not sure. It's a bunch of little beads on some string. We like to tie this onto our watch like this. So once it's attached to our wrist, it doesn't come off, which makes it easy to just fidget with if we're having trouble holding on to things, like if we're liable to dropping them, say when we're really dissociated. And it's nice and subtle as well, like if it's under the table, no one will notice that you have it. It's nice and smooth. I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10 only because the string, it's not quite string, but the material that threads it together is starting to fray, and it makes us anxious. This next one isn't metal, it's actually a worry stone. We have another stone that we like a lot more, but I couldn't find it. But this is just to rub your fingers on. It's also really subtle, it fits in a pocket. But it's not as satisfying as our other stone, so I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. And the last fidget in the metal section is this bad boy. It is a hand roller and it just goes around and around. It has a nice weight to it, which for us is really helpful because it helps us ground. It's also quite cold when you first pick it up, which can be helpful for grounding. It's also really quiet, so people don't necessarily know if you're using it in like a video call or something, which is quite handy. And it's just really fun. We'll sit there doing this for ages and ages and ages. This is a 10 out of 10 fidget. Our next group of fidgets are what I'm calling the bend and twist fidgets. I don't really know how else to describe the group, but you'll see what I mean. The first we have in this set are slinkies. This is a big slinky. It's kind of fun, I guess, but it's really loud and gangly and noticeable, but still fun. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Now, the little slinky is where it's at. These are really fun. When they first come, they're kind of stuck together, so you get to unpeel them. Unfortunately, all of mine are peeled, which is really satisfying. Peak satisfaction, actually. These ones also have little faces, which are quite fun. And these are a lot more subtle than the big one. You can just have it in one hand and wrap it around your fingers. These are really good. I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10. This one we have a big and a small version again. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're the ones that you bend out and you can make different shapes with them. This little one, as you can see, is missing some pieces because of wear and tear. It's okay, I guess. We don't really seek this one out at all. It just kind of sits in our fidget drawer. So because of that, I'm only going to give it a 5 out of 10 because we don't use it enough to justify giving it a number any bigger than that. And then this is the big version. It does the exact same thing as the little version, except bigger. We do seek this one out more than the little ones, but we don't seek it out very often. However, I quite like its size. I like its chonkiness. I feel like you can, like the things that you build look more impressive because it is that much bigger. So because I just find it generally more impressive than the little one, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Another 2 for 1, but that is infinity cubes. We actually have 4 infinity cubes. We have a black one that is between these 2 sizes, and then one that's this size but metal, and I don't know where either of them are, so we're just getting these 2. This is our least favorite infinity cube. It's very light, there's no weight to it. It does have some fun clicking, but we don't like infinity cubes because of the sound. We like them because of the weight and because of how subtle they can be. So this one, although it's still fun, is only going to get a 6 out of 10. This one was our favorite one before our metal one. Our metal one is probably a 10 out of 10. This one is really fun. It has lots of colors, which is also a really fun visual stim, as well as the tactile and auditory one. And it's also really good when we're trying to ground because we can follow the colors around, which helps bring us back into the body and the present moment. But it's not as heavy as the metal one that we like, so I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10. The next is a classic tangle. We really love tangles, but unfortunately all the ones that we have tend to come apart like this, and once they start doing that, we don't like using the metal. Like this, because it is broken, 1 out of 10. That's because we use it. When they're new, when they're not broken, they're like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. If people have recommendations for sturdier tangles that don't just break, I would love those suggestions because we'd really like one that's a little bit more long lasting than these simple little ones have been. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The last tangle in this section are these. I'm not sure what they're called. We also call them bike chains, but I don't think that's their real name. We love these, especially when they're fresh and the joints are hard to move. This one is getting a little bit more wear and tear. They do eventually end up like the tangle and breaking at certain joints, but they last longer for us. But we love these. We take these with us almost everywhere. 10 out of 10. Could not recommend more. Next, we're going to go through our chewy fidgets. I have them in a little bag. First, we have our textured sticks. So they have 2 different textures on either end, and you just chew them like a toothpick. These are really fun. We really like these. They come in different strengths. So this is the softest, this is the hardest, and I don't know where the middle strength is, but we really enjoy these. We prefer the middle strength, which is why it's missing because someone's been using it. The middle strength is probably a 9.5 out of 10. It's only not a 10 out of 10 because we do chew through them, but that's also part of the satisfaction for us. And then these two themselves are both probably an 8 out of 10. The next is another toothpick stick, but this one doesn't have any texture on it. This is the middle strength, but because it doesn't have the texture, I'm only going to give it a 7 out of 10. And then the last one we have is this little one that's meant to go on a necklace, although we don't like wearing them on a necklace because we feel like if we wear it out of the house, it's going to get dirty, and then we don't want to put that in our mouth. But we also didn't like this one. We don't like it. 3 out of 10. It exists. It's fun to do this with. Do not enjoy chewing it. Absolutely hate chewing it. Okay, the next section we have are puppets. This is our favorite puppet. It has a lot of tactile, strength. I don't know what the right word is. And we wear this on our lanyard, so this goes everywhere with us. Unfortunately, it is starting to get a hole here because we do use it a lot. And so we'll need to buy a new one. But 10 out of 10, love this so much. The next one we have is this pineapple. It did have a pineapple top on it, but some of the smaller kids chewed it off, unfortunately. This is fine. We're not a huge fan of poppets. Like, we will sit there and use them, but we don't seek them out. So I'm only going to give this one a 6 out of 10. And then the last poppet we have is this big one that I'm not really sure if you can see, but each of the little bubbles has letters on it. And this one's quite fun because you can spell words with it so long as it doesn't have any double letters. And it can be fun to go along and spell words. And the letters are fun to touch. Like, doing this is quite fun. I hadn't thought of doing that until just now. This has made this one a lot better than I thought it was going to be. This is a 7.5 out of 10. This next section is what I'm calling the slimy and stretchy section. And yeah, let's get into it. The first one we have is this scented putty. It smells like apples, but like fake apples. And also kind of chemically. And it's green and it has little bits of red glitter in it. It's quite sticky, which we don't really like. But it's also not too sticky, and the scent can be good for grounding, but it's not my favorite. I don't think I like it very much. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Now, this putty is very good, but the lid is quite hard to get off, so bear with me. This is a hand exercise putty. It's supposedly the least resistant. And this is really, really fun. We like using this when we're watching TV. And it's fun to just go around and around in your hands. You can sometimes make bubbles with it, although I'm not very good at doing it, and make them pop, which is fun. We adore this. This is a 10 out of 10. The container, -5. It's really hard to open, and I know that so that it doesn't spill, and sometimes it gets stuck on the lid. But it sometimes means that we can't even use it because we don't have the hand strength to actually open the container. And yes, I could probably find another container, but this is still what it comes with. So in reflection of that, this only gets an 8 out of 10. The next slime adjacent one is Play-Doh. We got this for one of our younger children. They really like it. I refuse to touch it. I hate the texture of Play-Doh. I hate how it gets under your nails. I hate the smell. I hate everything about it. 0 out of 10. But the person who does love it really loves it, so they'd probably give it a 10 out of 10. So I'll give it a 5. I'll meet in the middle, but I hate Play-Doh so much. Okay, the next one we have is kinetic sand. This didn't come as kinetic sand. This came inside of like a little hand like stuffed animal thing, and I didn't like the texture in it, but we do like playing with kinetic sand. I'm not gonna get it's there we go. Come out. It's fun to watch it fall out. I like how it falls, but sometimes it does get a bit stuck in there because this isn't the right container. I'm not sure if you can see that. Kinetic sand is fun to play with, but it can be quite messy, so I'm not really going to focus on getting it out. But I'm going to give the kinetic sand a 7 out of 10 because it's fun, but it's messy. And we're finally on to the stretchy part of this section. This is Stretchy Dog. He is covered in cat hair. That is a big downside. He gets stuff stuck in him all the time. Also, his eyes are a little bit cursed because we started picking at the paint. Oops. But he makes a really fun sound. He's also really fun to move around. Unfortunately, some of his glue is coming undone. But he makes some of the silliest faces. Doing this is really fun. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 only because he's breaking. But I really, really enjoy him. And I think this is a really fun one to show off to other people because they tend to quite like the different expressions that you can make with his face. And the last one is noodles. We had some smaller noodles, but we donated them to a club. But now I've just got the fat noodles and they're really fun as well. These are a really good one if you're looking for a quiet fidget or if you're looking to kind of be angry and stretch something. They do eventually break if you put too much strength on them though, so be careful. But they're really fun. These are going to get a 9 out of 10 as well. They only don't get a 10 out of 10 because sometimes the texture can be a bit weird and they pick up fluff and stuff. Finally, we're moving on to the second last section. This is our balls section, and it is the last section that actually has a consistent theme among all of the fidgets. So to start off, I'm pretty sure these are Nido, but I'm not really sure. They're mini. There's a third one, but it's stuck on top of the blinds in the living room because we like to throw them up in the air and we threw it a bit too far. These are fun, but they're not our favorite Nido product. We don't really like the small ones because it just doesn't do it for us as well. But squishing them together is really fun. However, because of the way that they pick up a lot of dust and fluff, etc., and a lot of cat hair. So I'm only going to give them a 6.5 out of 10. Next, we have these kind of, I think they're like orb balls. You put them in water and they expand. Really fun, but like limited use. And they also look like they're edible when they're not. So we have to make sure that none of the younger kids try and eat them. But they're really fun. They're just a little bit more of a safety risk. So 7 out of 10. We also have these little spiky balls. They kind of stick to each other. There was 6 in the pack, but I don't know where the other 2 have gone. Unfortunately, they do sometimes lose their spikes. But but they're really fun. They're good to just have in your hand and crunch around. They make a fun little crunching sound. Oh, another part of the green one fell off. But they do fall apart. But they're still fun while they last. So I'm gonna say another 7 out of 10 probably. Next we have Spiky Bouncy Ball. This one is really fun. We like sitting there and pulling on the star points, or also rolling it around in our hand, or squishing it. This is a really good one to help with our skin picking and our hair pulling. 10 out of 10. Love this one. It's fun. It's a nice color. It's good to use. It's just good. This next one is a hard spiky ball. As you can see, it does not bend. This one is also really fun. It's a good one to just like roll up and down your arm or your leg, or roll between your hands. We really enjoy this one. This is another 10 out of 10 fidget. We've had a lot of good fidgets, so time for a bad fidget. This is just like your classic foam stress ball. We don't like these. These don't do anything for us. We find these boring and dull and kind of useless. 0 out of 10. These next two products I also think are neato. The next one definitely is. Pretty sure this one is. This is just like a ball with little like tassels on it, and we really love sitting there and doing this. It's also fun to squeeze. This is really good. The tassels do come off if you pull them too hard, but that's because you're pulling on them. This one does collect hair and stuff as well, but it is 9.5 out of 10, I think. It's not 10 out of 10 because it does get dirty really easily. And the final one in the ball section isn't really a ball. It's another neato. It's a neato gumdrop. This has a nice thick inside and it's really fun to squeeze. We enjoy these, but unfortunately we live in Australia where it gets really hot over summer, so they don't stay as like hard as they can, which is kind of sad when they're really tough. But this is an 8 out of 10 for us. It's not as good as some of the other ones, but it's still really enjoyable. And lastly, we have our miscellaneous fidgets. So these are all the fidgets that I couldn't really justify grouping into a different kind of group, so I've put them all together. There are some that overlap and some that don't really at all, but that's what the term miscellaneous means. First, we have this one. I'm not really sure what they're actually meant to be called. They're just like a lattice, and these are really fun. We like squeezing it and letting it come out. It also makes a cool sound, and it kind of moves like a caterpillar or a fish. This is fun, but it's kind of big and bulky, but I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Next up, we have the slug. I feel like this is a really popular one. It also makes cool sounds, and you can just like move each section around that we like doing, or like slug it. We quite like this one. We like making the sounds, but those sounds can be quite annoying to other people. But I like him. He's going to get an 8 out of 10. Next one, these are called Calm Buddies. And they have a little shell that opens, which is fun to do, and then spikes that you can press your finger into, but it doesn't actually cause any damage. So these ones are really helpful. I know why they're helpful, but when I put it into words, I dissociate. But I hope that you can understand why that is something that would be helpful to people. Next up, we have a visual stem. We have had ones of these that are better. This one doesn't really glob like it's meant to. The yellow globs, but the red doesn't. But they can go really bubbly. These are really fun, really enjoy these. We don't normally get a lot out of just like visual fidgets or stem tools or whatever you want to call them. These are really fun. I really enjoy these. And I like how bubbly it gets. Next up, this one is really loud. But we really like these. We like the way that it sounds. We like the... This is really fun. This is not This is not a group friendly one. This is really, really loud. But it's also super fun. This gets a 9 out of 10. It's only not a 10 out of 10 because we can't really do it in group events. Another loud one, we have these little sound tubes. And then they go back together. These are fun, but they're really loud as well. But you can also just like rub your fingers along it, which can be fun, but because they're so loud, I'm only going to give it a 7 out of 10. Next up, we have an atomic ball. They are connected by elastic strings. It's also another loud one, and it's another really fun one. Unfortunately, the elastics stretch, so even though they all used to be of equal lengths, they're not anymore, which is kind of a bit sad and annoying, but we still really enjoy it. This is going to get an 8 out of 10. It would be higher if the elastics didn't stretch so easy. Next, we have a little like mini keyboard, which is very fun. Very clicky. It is like a little bit loud for us though, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And then we have two more that are kind of similar but also very different. First off, we have a fidget cube. I feel like this is a classic. It has lots of different faces with lots of different fidgets. And this is really good if you need lots of different kinds of fidgets in a small and compact space. This is a 10 out of 10 fidget. I love infinity cubes. There are loud ones, and there are quiet ones, and there are completely silent ones, and there are like ones that make a little bit of noise, or yeah. These are just really fun. This gets a 10 out of 10. And then lastly, we have what we like to call a fidget remote. I think it's meant to be a fidget spinner because you can technically spin it, but we like holding it like a little remote. It has most of the same types of fidgets, except some of them are a little bit different because it's from a different place. But we love this one. This might be one of our favorite fidgets of all time. This is another 10 out of 10 fidget. It's very, very good. I adore it. I hope that everyone liked our fidget haul. These are just all of the fidgets that are designed to be fidgeted with. We have a lot of other things that we use to stim or to fidget with. And sometimes we also combine them. Like one of our favorite things to do is to put a slinky on a stretchy noodle and just do this. We like the way that looks visually. It's very fun. We also like combining our magnet and metal fidgets and playing with them attached to each other. There's no one way to fidget, there's no one way to stim, and you can do what you need to do to make it more interesting and more brain scratchy for yourself. Some examples of things that aren't fidgets but that we fidget with are squishmallows or other teddies. For many different reasons. We stim using music, we stim making sounds, we stim using our body. There are so many different things to do that it would take up an own video in and to itself of fidgets that aren't meant to be fidgets but that we fidget with. But I hope that everyone liked our fidget haul. We will try to have links in the description to everything that we can remember where we got it from. Thank you so much for watching. Stay hydrated, sated and caffeinated, and we will see you in our next video. Bye!